Hello friends, very good morning to all of you. So friends, welcome back to Anthropology PYQ series. Let's try to decode every question and let's master every concept. So friends, as a part of our discussion, let us proceed with another important question from Anthropology paper 2 from 2025 PYQ. So if you look from the question of the day with us, so look at the question. So most of you might have got the question. So look at the question. So elucidate the role of demographic and social factors for population growth in India. So this is the question of the day with us. So did anyone, those who have attempted, those who have joined in live, so have you attempted this question or try to attempt the question? So if it is so, then you post it in our Telegram channel, so Anthropology Guide. So friends, let us try to understand the answer for the question in a systematic fashion. So basic question is a direct, straightforward question. So where we can see the relevance from unit 2 of your paper 2. So population and the factors that are responsible for population growth in India, right? So here, first of all, we should understand what is population growth and what is a population. So when we generally see from the perspective of population, so group of individuals who are living in a particular area at a particular time period. So that refers to population. Now, population growth means what? Population growth means it's nothing but increase in the number of populations over a period of time in a particular area. So that basically is known as population growth. So if we talk from India's perspective, for every 10 years we will conduct this census. So that is calculation of the population. So it is decade. For decade is the time period here. So what we try to do in India, we will try to calculate the population growth for a 10 years period of time. So that's how. So from 2011 to 2021. So what is the population increase? So that basically connotes population growth. So I hope that is very clear to you all. Now, what the question is seeking and asking from is that what are the factors that are responsible for the population growth in India? So this is very, very important thing that we should understand. So now let us directly jump to the demand of the question because the things are very simple and direct and straightforward here. When we see from the perspective of the factors, so factors responsible for population growth. For population growth, particularly we are talking from India's perspective. Now, so all the factors that are responsible for the growth of population in India could be broadly categorized into various aspects. So things like, say for example, the demographic factors, or the socio-economic factors, or cultural factors, so like that. So here the question is asking for only distribute or discuss them in two categories. So demographic factors and social factors. So that's it. So now let's try to understand. So those who have joined in live, so you can text some of the important points from your side also so that you could be participating in the discussion. All right. So now first, let's check back the question. First, let us discuss the demographic factors responsible for population growth in India. So what are those demographic factors? So on one side, let us list the demographic factors. On other side, let us list the social factors. So demographic factors. What are the various demographic factors? Then in the similar way, let us mention the social factors responsible for population growth. Now, you can just pitch your points so that like we can take up and we can just categorize and we can just place them in this in the relevant aspects. So very good morning once again to all those who have joined. So now text the demographic factors and text the social factors that you can recollect currently so that we can just go for a constructive discussion. So first, let me start. So when we talk from the perspective of demography, what do you mean by demography? Demography basically refers to, it's a word which is derived from two Greek words, demos and graphia. So graphia refers to description, whereas demos refers to population. So in a simple fashion to say, demography is nothing but it's a scientific study of the description of the characteristics of a population of a particular region. So let's say, for example, how about the characteristics of the population of India? So what about various demographic features? Say, for example, some of the important aspects of demography are like, what about the mortality rate? What about the natality rate? What about the fertility rate? What about the literacy rate? So all of them are nothing but they describe the population of a region. So factors. So first factor you can just talk about is with respect to the birth rate, right? So birth rate is one of the important demographic factors. Now, if you see systematically from India's perspective, so there was a kind of high birth rates over a period of time. So after since the 20th century onwards. So this was one factor that was responsible. So high birth rate, or you can say high natality. So furthermore, if you just break it, it is nothing but high birth rate. So this is one thing that you should remember. Then furthermore, the next thing, if you see next important factor. So where what you can do, you can incorporate the NFHS 5 data. So National Health Family Survey 5, so which has been conducted in 2019 to 21. You can collect the data, like you can say the natality rate or birth rate of the India is this much. So like that you can just break in and you can just bring in that fact. So that's one thing. Then if you see from the next factor, India has had high total fertility rate. Total fertility rate. So we will call it as TFR, fertility rate, the ability of a woman to produce the children. So that is fertility rate. So fertility rate is that. So there is high fertility rates. So that is another important factor that is responsible for the population rise. So now your role is to verify what's the total fertility rate of India according to NFHS 5. So that would be one important thing that you can mention, right? So now we are getting some points. So let's see. So Vinishri is texting age of the population. So age of the population. So that is also another important aspect. So where we will take up that in the next after that. So after some important points. Then gender in that particular region considered. Okay. So gender variations are, so okay, we'll see income generated. Okay. So we'll see. So all of them could be in social factors, right? Now let's take up the demographic factors. So high natality rate, high fertility rate. This is one thing. And coupled with the low death rates, or you can mention it as low mortality rates. That means death rates. So why death rate is more or less? Why death rate is less? Because of having high good medical facilities like that. So this is one other important aspect. So that is one factor responsible for population growth. So apart from these factors, so we have a good population momentum, so that we call it as demographic dividend. So working age population is more in India. So currently working age population means people who are belonging to 16 to say 60 years. So they are nothing but the working age population. So till like what we can do, so population we can systematically divide. So say for example 1 year to 0 to 14 or 15 years, you can have 14 years, you can have the young population. They are one thing. So again 15 to 60 or 50 to 15 to 60 like that. So you can have working population. So who can actively contribute for the growth of economy. And greater than 60, it is called as again dependent population. Now if you see from these, so in India we have more working population, working group population. So there further we can say it in a form of like young, more reproductive population. So from that point of view, there is a kind of population momentum. Population momentum. So where we can have more working sections, working population. Working population means actually we can say this is from economic terms, like economic growth point of view, but still age structure point of view if you see. So there we can see a kind of demographic dividend that we were talking about. So in here we can use the word population momentum instead of demographic dividend. If it could have been economic growth, we could have used the word demographic dividend. Right? So that is one important aspect. So that is one important thing. So then improved life expectancy. So high birth rate, low death rate and improved life expectancy. This is another important aspect. This is another important aspect that is responsible for the population growth. Right? So furthermore, if you see, so there if we talk from the perspective of the another important factors, so usually migration is another important factor that is responsible, where so international migration has been negligible impact, but still so some sort of migration is also responsible. So this is another important thing that you can incorporate. So you have to just pick the, for you it is your duty is to just collect the data from NHFH5, so National Health Family Survey. So NHFS5, so data. So that is one important aspect. Then let us try to see some of the important social factors that are responsible. So as you were just saying, so let's look at the social factors. First and foremost factor that we should see is levels of education. Particularly, what about the level of education of the girls or level of education of women? So this is another important factor. So if you see from India's perspective, so strategically if you see, there was a kind of low education, particularly for women, or low literacy rates. Low literacy rate in women. This is a typical factor that is responsible for population growth. So how this would be responsible? Imagine a condition that if the girl is well educated or the woman is well educated, so she would know the implications of having more number of children. So that's first thing. Another thing, like most of her time would be engaged in education, and the reproductive life will be, like fertility life will be, it will be lessened. So like that, education creates a kind of awareness about the possible issues of having more number of children and population also. So this is one important reason where we can have, so but especially the female education that we were talking about. So female education, and this is, so having low female literacy rates or low female education was one of the important factors. Right? So in the same fashion, try to just incorporate some more social factors. So those who have joined in online, you can incorporate those things. Right? So what about the age of the marriage? So think from that perspective. So if the age of the marriage, think if it is less, so then there is more fertile window for the women. So they can produce more and more children, isn't it? So marriage age. So this is another important factor. Marriage age, particularly when we say the early marriages of the girl child or early marriage of females particularly. Why we are talking from female point of view? When we talk about the fertility or fecundity, so two aspects. So they are directly linked with the women. So that's what one important aspect we should talk. So if a woman is getting married at the younger age, say for example, at the age of 25 is different, and at the age of 16 is different, and at the age of 20 is different. So if she married at 16 years, so then from 17 years onwards she can be conceived and she can start producing the children. If it is 25, so marriage age, so roughly 10 years has been postponed. So there is possibility that there could be less in the reduction in the number of the births that she can give. So fertility rate could be lowered. So from that point of view, so despite of having so many legal legislations to support the age of marriage, but still, so child marriages and early marriages are prevalent in India. So this was another important factor, right? So that is one thing. So then, what are the other aspects? So think from the perspective of the family. So when you see from the perspective of the family, so think, if the family is more, nature of the family is more orthodox, or family is more traditional, say patriarchal family. So in such a situation, can we expect that women will be allowed to go for the family planning kind of aspects? Absolutely not, because there would be a kind of conservative and conservative ideology or resistance towards such kind of progressive thoughts. So that is another important aspect. So we can have it. So nature of family, it also responsible. So what kind of families that we can see? Say for example, the traditional conservative and orthodox families, if they are there. Conservative and orthodox nature of the families. So this is another important factor. So when orthodox families or conservative families, they won't allow for the progressive aspects. So particularly family planning, such kind of things. So that is another important thing. Then next important factors are patriarchal nature. Patriarchal nature of society. This is also one of the way, in one way, responsible for it. How means, what happens in the Indian society, there is due to the patriarchal nature, so the inheritance of the property or wealth, all those things will transmit from father to child. So there we have patrilineal nature of inheritance of the property. So due to patriarchal nature, we have patrilineal. So due to patrilinearity, we have a kind of behavior that is known as son meta preference. What do you mean by son meta preference? Have you heard about this word? Son meta preference, what is it? So there is a tendency that the couple will keep on producing the children until unless they will find, or they will get, or they will be blessed with a male child, because the lineage